tested.
9 months after the Motorola Droid introduced Android to the iPhone-wearing masses, AT&T users can finally get their first taste of fully featured Android goodness with the Samsung Captivate. The Captivate, Samsung's AT&T specific version of the Galaxy S, is the first real Android smartphone available to AT&T users, aside from the short-lived and unsubsidized Nexus 1. While there have been Android handsets available for purchase from AT&T, they were either glorified feature phones like the backflip, or budget-friendly devices with last-gen hardware like the Area. The Captivate finally brings a dead sexy, high-power, high-resolution, modern Android phone to beleaguered AT&T users everywhere. Like the other Galaxy S phones, the Captivate packs a big hardware punch. Sporting a beautiful 4-inch, 800 by 480 pixel Super AMOLED screen, the Captivate looks spectacular. Super AMOLED integrates the touch-sensitive layer directly in the screen, rather than a separate layer of plastic used in more traditional AMOLED phones. While it doesn't have the magical pixel density of the iPhone 4, the larger screen does make it easier to type with the on-screen keyboard, a big plus in my book. However, like other OLED-based screens, the Captivate screen can be difficult to see in bright sunlight. On the speeds and feeds front, the Captivate stacks up nicely. The phone is powered by Samsung's own Hummingbird processor running at 1 GHz. You might be interested to know that the Hummingbird is rumored to share more than just a Cortex-8 core with the Apple A4 processor used in the iPhone 4 and iPad, if you know what I mean. Samsung's loaded this phone with memory as well. It's equipped with 512 megabytes of RAM, 2 gigabytes of flash ROM for app installs and storage, plus a 16 gig micro SD card built into the phone. And if that's not enough, it has the option of adding more storage using the external micro SD slot, which will accommodate up to a 32 gigabyte card. The upshot is that there's a boatload of storage in the Captivate for all the music apps and movies you'll want to use with this phone. The Captivate packs the same 5 megapixel 720p camera that's oh so common on most Android phones these days. In my tests, I found that the Captivate's camera performs about the same as the camera in the Nexus 1, but doesn't match the low light performance of the iPhone 4's camera, a problem that's only exacerbated by Samsung's decision to omit the LED flash. And, unfortunately for video calling aficionados, the Captivate doesn't sport the front-facing camera that other variants of the Galaxy S include. There are a few other hardware oddities in the Captivate as well. This is the first Android phone I've tested that emits any kind of secondary pointing device. While I didn't miss a trackball or touchpad at first, I found that precise control of the cursor was challenging without a pointing device. Android really needs an analog to iOS's zoom and select text pop-up if more manufacturers are going to ditch the trackpad. I'm also a little weirded out by the top-mounted USB port. It's just in an awkward spot, but I do love the side-mounted power button. It's in the perfect spot to match with my index finger when I'm holding the phone in my left hand, as I almost always do. Unfortunately, the software that ships on the Captivate is significantly less appealing than the hardware. Samsung's customized Android launcher, TouchWiz, is just plain bad. It's clear that Samsung's designers were attempting to create an iPhone-esque experience, but the TouchWiz comes off as a cheap, ugly imitation rife with flaws. My main gripe is that performance in TouchWiz is dismal. Scrolling from home screen to home screen is noticeably laggy, which is inexcusable for such a core piece of software. TouchWiz also ditches Android conventions in order to be more iPhone-y. Gone is the smooth vertical scrolling stock app menu. Instead, it's been replaced with a series of iPhone-style app screens that require left and right scrolling. Worse, in the app menu, TouchWiz overlays your app icons on colored chiclet buttons. The result is a colored sprawl of icons that makes it more difficult to find the app you're looking for. Not good. For the most part, TouchWiz is a bust, but the enhancements Samsung made to the notification area are useful, making it the default spot to access basic phone functions, including the media playback controls, as well as toggles for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, silent mode, and vibrate. The Captivate also ships with the bare-bones Samsung keyboard as well as swipe. Naturally, if you don't like either of those options, it's easy to install any number of keyboard replacements from the Android market. Fortunately for Samsung, all of these problems are easily fixed by users without even rooting the phone. The bad news is that the phone also comes with a ton of AT&T and Samsung specific software that can really only be described as crapware. Crapware, apps or services designed to generate additional revenue for the phone's manufacturer or service provider that provide no appreciable benefit to the vast majority of users. Worse, because these apps are installed on the phone's system partition, you can't uninstall them unless you root your phone, which technically voids your warranty. While rooting this phone is ridiculously easy and I was able to uninstall the 14 or so apps in about 10 minutes, shipping a smartphone with uninstallable crapware and placeholders for future crapware is unacceptable. Samsung ships the Captivate with Android 2.1, aka Eclair. While 2.1 is definitely capable, the 2.2 Froyo release brought a host of major enhancements to Android that I'd really like to see on this phone, including a much faster browser, improved application performance, auto app updating, and support for Adobe Flash. While Froyo is coming to the Captivate, Samsung doesn't have an official timeline for the update. Adventurous users will undoubtedly migrate to a third-party ROM by then, but if you want to run your phone stock, you'll be running Eclair for a while. As a phone, the Captivate is impressive. Call quality is great, the integration with Google Voice for voicemail and SMS is tight, and battery life is more than acceptable. I never had a problem getting a full day's use out of the Captivate's battery, even on heavy use days. Audio quality for music playback is up and down though. It seems to depend on the app you use to listen to your music. And the media player that Samsung included seemed to do a better job playing MP4 videos encoded to work with the iPhone than other Android phones I've tested. I did experience a few performance problems in my testing with the Captivate. Although I found the phone to be extremely speedy most of the time, at least once I replaced TouchWiz with the Launcher Pro, I did experience an unacceptable number of black screens and hitches in apps, as well as noticeable slowdowns in the Android market, especially when downloading multiple apps. I also found the Captivate took an unusually long length of time to achieve a GPS lock. Samsung has acknowledged the GPS lock problem and is committed to fixing it, but there's no ETA yet. I've been talking with Samsung about the other issues as well, and I'll follow up when I hear back from them, either in an addendum to this video or in a separate blog post. The important thing to know is that these problems are much more common on the Captivate than on comparable Android phones. So where does that leave you, the Android-curious smartphone aficionado who happens to be an AT&T user? Well, now that the AT&T friendly version of the Nexus 1 isn't for sale anymore, the Captivate is the best and really only option, something I don't expect to change for the next few months at least. Despite good hardware, I simply can't recommend a phone with this many problems out of the box. If you're a normal user who just wants a phone that's awesome with no fuss, you should avoid the Captivate, at least until Samsung updates the phone and fixes the problems I experienced. The HTC Droid Incredible is a vastly superior Android phone, despite its smaller screen and battery. On the other hand, if you're a nerd trapped on AT&T and are comfortable getting your hands dirty with Android, you know, rooting your phone, removing the crapware yourself, finding a TouchWiz replacement, or even running a third-party firmware, the Captivate is really, well, your only chance at Android bliss. For Tested, I'm Will Smith. See you next time.